Okay, good early morning. What a day, what a week. Okay, so I'm sure everyone's not too excited about seeing these big pullbacks in YBIT and the underlying BITO, but there's a little bit of good news in there. I thought I'd share this with you. For those of you that don't know, although I think I've mentioned it, so YBIT, right, I've told you how it's unique and that it sits on top of BITO, and BITO is a ProShares BTC tracking fund, and that pays a dividend. But we and YieldMax's YBIT won't be able to collect BITO's dividend because we don't own any BITO. We simply use synthetic calls position, which is equivalent of owning BITO, but we don't own it. And then we also sell naked weekly calls to collect premiums. So BITO has its monthly dividend. Well, they just declare, their declaration is after the market closes on the day prior to their ex-dividend. So 5/1 is ex-dividend. So at the end of the trading day and end of the evening, they announced they don't pay until May 8th, which happens to be the same day that all the single stock ETFs pay in YieldMax, right? This month is May 8th. They declare Friday, May 3rd before the market opens. But interesting, BITO just paid its highest dividend. I think it's been a fund for a year and a half or so. I've been in BITO for maybe 4 months, and they hadn't broke $1, and then last month they broke $1, and I think it was $1.13. This month, pretty shocked with Bitcoin going down, but again, BITO plays the futures. So BITO announced $1.68. So pretty happy about that on a $25 stock, right? It's traded as high as 33 and it's down. And I track all that in here, right? So you can see all that because you guys are in the game with me. Okay, so leave that alone for a minute. The other thing that I wanted to cover is just some of the Bitcoin news. So in the pre-market, it looks like we're breaking down. We're going, last I looked, it was 57 in the pre-market. I've actually got 57,425. And it looks like it's bouncing. It's been as low as 56,935. So guys, in general, that's not a good sign. If we confirm a close below that, and we don't immediately go back above 60 the next day, then that sets we've broken down, right? We have a confirmation if that happens. And that brings in 52. Okay, 52 is the next support line. I've talked about it when I show you guys some things, but here's your 200-day moving average. And you can see that was sort of it ran up to 52 and then went sideways for a period of time and then broke on out. And ever since we ran in March to the 74 mode in BTC, since then we've really just been forming this bull flag pattern. And I'll show you that when I get into my spreadsheets where I have a chart. But I just wanted you guys to know, once we break below and confirm it, then it brings us, do we have to go down to 52? No. Could we break 52? Well, if we break 52, the next major support is right through this area in the 40s. Do I think we'll break 52? Very unlikely. But again, anything can happen. I wasn't sure we were going to break the 60, right? And it hasn't done it yet. If we reverse during the day, or we close slightly below it and then tomorrow we close back above 60, then that says, you know, we're dipping our toe into major support, which becomes resistance, and we overcome resistance and go back up. So just wanted to make you guys aware. The other thing, um, Grayscale is still selling a lot, and the big issue is their fees. They have like a 1.5% fee, and they converted from, I think, an ETN where you had to do a K1 to where they're just an ETF. I think that happened in January, but it's too little, too late. And also, FTX and Genesis are still dumping some of their shares, and they primarily had their shares in Grayscale, GBTC. So we need to flush all that out. The third thing that didn't help support was the Chinese, Hong Kong in particular, Asian ETFs opened yesterday and traded. And they really didn't get the kind of money that they were anticipating. So they had a rather, so it's sort of buy the news, sell the rumor. So the news happened and it was somewhat of a nothing burger. So, and Hong Kong was quick to say, well, we're 1/68th the market size of the US market. So don't expect us to have big revenue. And our revenue was commensurate with what your revenue was when you take it as 1/68. So I'll give you those little news bits. Just, don't freak out. Dollar cost average. The worst thing you can do is pile all your money in, chase high yield, throw all your money at it, and then watch it decline and go, I wish I could have, I wish I would have waited, I wish I would have, So that's the problem. We all know Bitcoin has run a lot. It looks like 52 could come into play. If you have the money, buy some now, average in, do what you want to do. But I feel for those that just jump in without any hesitation. Am I optimistic 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Absolutely. I think Bitcoin's going to new highs. I see 100, 125,000. Hopefully we get to 100 in calendar 2024. I could see 250 out in a couple of years. I mean, for the very reasons that fiat currency isn't going to hold its value. I mean, the U.S. we're at 130% debt to GDP, and we're increasing. Japan's at 250. So what it did to their currency, the only reason our currency hasn't collapsed is because we're still the reserve currency, which we'll see. And the third thing that the markets have taken a hit and drug BTC and everything is down burger. The FOMC meets tomorrow. So could they raise a quarter point? Sure. Could they raise a quarter point? Maybe. I mean, we're in this stagflation. So let's hope for the best. I'll get into analyzing the fund, but I just want to do a little bit of news and bring a little bit of something different to the table here besides my technical analysis on the charts. All right. So here's the 2561. That's what BITO. Now, if you subtract the $1.68 that they paid, and that it won't be paid till the 8th, but tomorrow, May 1st trading is ex-dividend. So it will automatically open up at 23.93, right? That's the $1.68. But it's actually trading around 23 something another. I looked a minute ago. Let me type it in. Because, yeah, it's trading at 23.20 in the pre-market. Because remember, a portion of that $1.68 gets taken out, and then the fact that it's down because BTC is down at 57, that's your issue, right? So could this thing trade down to $20? Yeah, it really could. I'd have to figure percentage-wise on what 52 gives us. But considering we're at 23.20, that corresponds to 57,000 on BTC. All right, so we're down 6.57. We did better in YBIT, right? We were only down 6.31%. And do I think that YBIT's going to have a great payout come June? Yes, I do. I think it'll be as good or better, right? It's a cheaper price. This was a $25, $27, $29 if you bought this in the last month for BITO, but it's still a nice, I think they paid $390 year to date in their first payments in BITO. So not a bad fund. I like EOMaxes. I understand them better, but all right, let's jump into what they did. There were 3 trades. They got some new shares. People buy funds when they go on sale. It's no different than if you go to, a department store or Amazon has a Black Friday or a sale or something. We all like to buy things on sale, assuming you kept your powder dry and you have money left, right? Some of you do drips. All right, let's jump in. So we covered that. You can see here that we went from 250 to 275,000 shares, so 25,000 more shares. So that contributed some capital. So we had a change of money at 560,000. Let's look at the trades, okay? So we did, because YieldMax does these, we did a buy call. And remember, our strike price is 29 out on 517. So we bought a call, sold short a put, right? So we only paid 15 cents. So because we're so far away from $29, but we were able to sell the put, which is substantially out of the money, for $3.92. So we're collecting more money in the fund, right? Our synthetics got a liability, and then we sold at 265. Right, or sorry, 26.5. 210 contracts for 22 cents, and that expires on 5/3, whereas our synthetic is out at 5/17. All right, I'm going to remove that. Let's go take a look at it. So here is our synthetic. So on 4/30, we sold 210, and we put really $82,305, right? You subtract these two. So we went from 231 in our piggy bank to 313. Now down here, I think I updated these. I need to double check. I didn't update that one. Yeah, I did. Interesting. Oh, I know why, because the opening market is what I have 23 in my head, because that's what it's going to open at. Okay, so our synthetic continues to get worse if we had to close it out. But again, we've got till 517. But we're down here at 23 after they open, subtracting the dividend, and Bitcoin is down. And we need to get to 29. But I don't worry about those when they have 13 trading days, 3 more this week and 2 more weeks. All right, so let's jump. What does our weekly look like? So here's our weekly. I added the 210. So we're in pretty good shape here, because we're 933 with the bulk of our 28 strikes, which I was worried about at the time. We were at like 2750. I thought, why'd you write it so low? They had more insight that it was going to break down, I guess. So we look pretty good with 3 days of keeping all that premium. We have 720 at 2850, so we got 11.28% cushion. And the ones we wrote today were only 3.48. But based on what's happening, it's down at 23. They knew whatever the dividend was going to be is subtracted this week. I actually thought maybe the dividend would be 50 cents or something, because very hard to track it on BITO because it's futures and they don't tell you what they buy and sell the futures for. But again, I do track a little bit of that. So I updated this, right? So these are their May and these are their June. So I said on Friday they sold 20 futures from June. On Monday they sold 30 futures from June. And on Tuesday, yesterday's in trading, it's already my Wednesday morning, some of you it's Wednesday morning, they sold 482, so quite a bit. So maybe they sold those to have more cash to pay the dividend. But nonetheless, I mean, BITO managed $1.68, so maybe they're actually doing calls on top of the futures and they're not showing them, and maybe they're doing other buys and sells. I'm not sure. Now these treasuries, which is a lot of money, collateral, I mean, that only pays like 5% annually, 5.25. So that's a small amount of interest, but it's still money they're collecting that they use for collateral to cover all these futures contracts. All right, let's get back to holdings. So I summed up here and added the shares. So they had 10% come into the fund. They had 250,000, 25,000 shares came in. They had more cash. Now, what's happening down here, take a look at this. We are moving 1, 2, 3 days, right? Whoops, I did something wrong here. This should not be 729, my bad on that. We were around 300,000 on this. I left it linked to the current one. So we only had about a 300K liability. It moved to 403 yesterday, and then on 430 trading it moved to 729. So essentially that's this guy, right? And this does need to be updated. So this is now 730. I did not update these numbers, but I did over in holdings. So these numbers are minus 3.9 and 25. Okay, I'll take care of that. But just know that we're now 729,000 down in our synthetic if we were to close that position, okay? But we're not, right? So once I change the values of these, I've got the right count, right? But this becomes higher and this becomes lower. And you want this number to be high and this number to be low, right? Because we bought one of them and sold one of them. All right, so let's take a look at holdings just for a little bit more and see if there's anything else. So we closed on YBIT at 1855, and I was showing based on some of the numbers in here that the value was 1896, right? So that's saying that we're really going on sale. Now let me make sure that's reflecting the right April. Yep, it's reflecting the right April number. Okay. So you see where we continue to collect these premiums, right? So we've written 3 different times, this being the largest. We've got 82, we've got about 89,000, right? 87,000 worth of call premium, and we also have some synthetic premium, right? Even though we have this liability. So let's take a look at payment. That's what most of the time you guys care about. However, as I mentioned, here we are with Friday being the declaration. I do not see them. I think it's 0.1% chance that they would distribute. So don't count on it. I mean, I'll be the last to say I was wrong if they do, but they haven't with any other fund. And Misty opened up, I think, on the 21st of a month, and they did not pay for that month. These guys opened up on the 23rd. But let's talk about what this means, okay? So we're now, is that updated? Or is it 275 on the count? Let me take a look. It's 275, so let me grab H17. Oh, I think I can make it 10 and it'll pick that up, okay. Or maybe nope, I didn't drag those numbers down. I'll make it H17. Whoops. Sorry to waste you guys' time with that stuff. Where is it? Yeah, I got 275 in there. Why isn't it grabbing it? It's grabbing it from the holding sheet. Hold on, I'll fix it. Okay. So that just changes the amount of money, right? Because they take the total revenue and then they divide by the number of shares. So I knew that was the wrong share count. So far we've collected 46 cents. And if you're familiar with YMAX, like a lot of you guys on your distributions and payouts, they typically, if you don't have a big loss here in synthetic, which we don't, we actually have more revenue in synthetic than we do in short call, but they try to distribute this. Well, remember, we're 1 week in, right? We're beginning, I think trading days, what are we? 6 trading days, 7 trading days. So we've already got 46 cents that we could pay out. So we're going to have like 6 weeks of that before we pay out in June. So we could have a nice distribution if we continue. Now we will have to roll that synthetic on May 17th, and you don't want to. They still, if you have a loss here, typically will pay out 2/3 of this if you have a big loss on your synthetic. But so far, together, we have $1.60. These are considered positive, even though they're negatives, because it's a credit in accounting. So right now we have $1.60 distributable income, but this is the typical distributable income. So sometimes they go slightly higher. When you lose your shirt on the synthetics and you have money here, I've seen them drop and only pay 2/3 of this amount. But again, this is, 1 week really. So I'm thinking this is going to trend if it stays, and we, especially when we go back up, we could get an easily $2 payout here by the time June comes around. Now, I'm assuming we recover, we get back to 28, 29 on BITO. Okay, guys, that's what I really had for you, so I'll let you go. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for fun and education. And let's get going, guys. Don't panic on this, all right? Bye. See ya.